Hello, I'm Elizabeth Holmes. I'm a hypnotherapist and previously a very busy teacher, and I am going to help you to overcome your insomnia, something that I think everybody suffers with from time to time. But when you can't get to sleep, it just makes life so much harder, doesn't it? So I hope that this short presentation will help give you a few ideas to getting a good night's sleep. And if you can sleep better, it makes everything else seem so much easier, doesn't it? There's always so much to do in the day, isn't there? So many things, not enough time to do it. And it causes that stress reaction, all that adrenaline surge, that when you get home at night and try to get all that much needed sleep, then that's when you need your sleep most, but when you find it's the most difficult. All those things going round in your head, all those plates that you're spinning, makes getting to sleep really difficult. So I'm going to just go through a few basic things to help you prepare yourself for the best chance of a good night's sleep, and then give you a few strategies that might help you if you're still lying there at night with all these thoughts going through your head. There are a few basic rules of sleep hygiene that will help you to get a better night's sleep. First of all, if you can get plenty of exercise during the day, it will help to burn off some of the adrenaline that's been built up by the perceived threat of all that busy work that you've had to do, all the stresses and strains of the day. So exercise is always a good thing. Also, it's common knowledge that caffeine is a stimulant, so it's best not to have any of that in the evening. Otherwise, that can lead to you being more wired when you go to bed. Into the bedroom now, though it's very tempting to take your phone up or to watch TV in bed, if you can associate the bedroom with sleep, then you're more likely to trigger that habitual sleep response to lying down on your bed rather than have it as a place for other entertaining things. And if you can stick to regular bedtimes, it sort of programs your body clock, and you do get used to that, going to bed at a certain time, getting the required amount of sleep, and then waking up at a certain time. So even at weekends, it is beneficial to stick to some kind of routine. Some more tips for sleep hygiene for you. If you keep the bedroom cool and dark, you get a better night's sleep, because your bed's nice and cosy, and you're not going to be sort of tossing and turning if you're being too hot. And also, if it's too light, it makes the brain think it's morning. So cool and dark is always a good thing if you can get it. If you are awake in the night, it really helps if you don't check the time. Although you're kind of interested to see what time it is and how long you've been awake, that just adds another pressure, and you just worry about how many hours you've got left, and that keeps you awake even more. So it kind of perpetuates the anxiety of being awake. So put a scarf or cloth over your clock if you've got one that's looking at you. You shouldn't be having your phone in there, so you shouldn't be checking that anyway. So just try not to look at the time, and it really does make a difference. Now, if you're lying there with this busy monkey mind, as they call it, with lots of thoughts going around in your mind, especially if you've got things that you're worried about, perhaps trying to remember things that you've got to do the next day, rather than just have them going round and round in your mind, it's really helpful if you have a notepad next to your bed. And then you can just jot things down as you think of them. The things that you think, oh, I mustn't forget that, I mustn't forget that. And once you've actually written it down, it's come out of your head and onto the paper, it allows you to not need to think about it anymore. So that's a really helpful tip as well. And then you'll find in the morning when you do wake up and you read what you've written, it might not even make sense, but at least it's kind of taken it out of that anxious nighttime brain, and got it there, so you won't forget anything you really need. If you are actually wide awake, and this does happen from time to time, if you are absolutely wide awake and you've been lying there for ages and ages and you just don't seem to be sleepy at all, you can always get up, go downstairs or go to another room and read for a while, and then as you become sleepier, then repeat the pattern and go back to bed and try again, because it takes away that anxiety of lying in bed awake, and it associates the bed with sleep again. So that's something that you can do, and often if you do get up in the middle of the night and read, it kind of changes the pattern and makes you think, oh no, actually I'd rather be in bed. So your body sort of craves that sleep. If you still can't sleep after all those sleep hygiene tips, there are some strategies that you can use, and they're a little bit akin to counting sheep. It's using visualizations that will kind of bore you. It's a bit like something repetitive, not too exciting, and eventually you'll kind of bore yourself to sleep. So the old wives' tale about counting sheep does actually work, but I have things that are a bit more focused for you, a kind of self-hypnosis, if you like, various different ones. And if you just try any of these, there'll be one that you prefer, but that they all seem to be very helpful. The first strategy that I'd like you to have a go at is called thought boat watching. And you don't have to just be lying awake at night for this one. If you have lots of different anxieties, this might help you if you just sit somewhere quietly for a while. But it's quite a good one for if you've got lots of things going on in your mind, lots of those spinning plates, all these different thoughts coming into your mind, just stopping you from getting to sleep. So what you do is you just lie there with your eyes closed and imagine that you are sitting or standing by a pier or a harbour, watching boats and ships just slowly come in and out. And if you breathe in and out, sort of in time with the waves, just get that nice gentle rhythm going with the lapping of the waves. So it's focusing the mind on that lapping in and out, and notice the thoughts that are coming in and out of your mind. And as you notice each thought, just place it on a boat. Observe it, and when you imagine that boat just drifting away, if another thought comes through, then just take that thought, place it in another boat, and then watch that just be taken away. So it's quite relaxing, and it's actually helping you to observe those thoughts, but then allow yourself to let them go. Now, at some point, there might be a thought that leads you to start ruminating about something, and it may distract you from what you were doing with the boats, but it doesn't matter. It happens all the time. Your mind will produce thoughts that may entangle you with other thoughts, other feelings and sensations, and you may want to figure them out and end up going over and over things. But once you've realised that this has happened, you can acknowledge it by saying, oh, I've just got my thoughts all tied up, and then you can get yourself back to where you were, separating those thoughts out, bring yourself back to the harbour, and then just continue watching from a distance as the boats continue to carry those thoughts away. And eventually you'll be lulled into a nice, gentle sleep as your thoughts drift away with the boats. The next strategy is a cinema visualization. So you just imagine that you're sitting comfortably in a cinema. Perhaps it's one of those old-fashioned ones with the really comfy red velvety chairs and the golden curtains, and it's warm and you're feeling quite tired. quite often I nod off in the cinema. It's just that nice, comforting place to be, isn't it? So just take note of the warmth, the comfort, the decoration. And as the lights go down and the film starts, you're surprised to find that it's a film of your previous day, starting with the moment that you wake up and get out of bed. But just watch yourself doing all the activities of that previous day in as much detail as possible. And unless it's been a particularly exciting day or a particularly worrying day, in which case I perhaps wouldn't recommend this strategy. If it's just an ordinary day and you're just watching yourself going through the motions, driving to work, parking the car, locking the car door, just watch all the details, and it's going to be focusing the mind on that thing, discounting all those other random thoughts that are keeping you awake, and eventually it'll bore you to sleep. And you very rarely get to lunchtime if you really do go into as much detail. So that's quite a nice one to have a go at. Now this next one is the most boring, but I think many people have found it to be the most effective. And as you're lying there awake in bed, you imagine that you have a whiteboard pen and a cloth. And for some reason, I don't know why, but it always seems to work, you choose the number 27 to write on the whiteboard. So you see yourself doing that with the whiteboard pen. Then you put the pen down, pick up the cloth and rub it out. Put the cloth down, pick up the pen, write the number 26, put the pen down, pick up the cloth and rub it out. Put the cloth down, pick up the pen and write the number 25. Put the pen down, pick up the cloth and rub it out. And you continue doing this, counting down. And if any other thoughts creep in, just remind yourself of the task that you're doing and just get back to the numbers. And you very rarely actually count down to 1. So it is a very dull but very effective way of getting yourself off to sleep. I hope you found those strategies helpful. There may be times when those don't work. Sometimes, insomnia is such a strong thing that, however hard you try, you can't get to sleep. In which case, because insomnia is very much tied up with the subconscious and what's going on behind the scenes in that busy mind of yours, if you do need any more help, a guided relaxation or a hypnotherapy recording might be useful. And you can always get in touch with me if you'd like some more help with that. So I'm Elizabeth Holmes and I do stress management in schools. I'm available for one-to-one support for school staff, and I can also talk to you online. So do get in touch if I can be of any further help, and good night and sweet dreams.